and welcome back with Game Changer Chat. I'm your host, Zakiya, and we're having Game Changer Chat 2 in one day. Isn't that a treat? Go ahead and hit like and don't forget to hit share. Today, this evening, we have with us another special guest. We have Shelly, all the way from California. Shelly, welcome.
Hello, how are you? I am so glad to be here. I am excited.
I'm excited too. I'm doing well. Everybody, can you just do me a huge favor? Can you please it's a simple request. Type in the box, where are you located in the world? It's not that hard. Just simply type, I'm in New York, California, Italy, wherever you're from. Type it in the box and don't forget to hit like. Thank you. With that being said, Shelly, a lot of people don't know you or your background. Can you please tell us why you are an expert in this conversation we're having about overcoming adversity and the mental health conversation?
Well, first of all, I would like to let everyone know that I'm a certified life purpose coach. And so I help women who have been living in their titles for many years and who haven't discovered who they are. I help them create a plan and I help them lay out their gifts, their passion, and we put those things together so that you can begin to live. We walk through this life, and so many times we're not living, we're just walking. And so that is my professional background of what I do. I am a women's change agent, and my desire is for women to be able to see themselves and be able to turn those things that they desire so that it works best for them. And with that, then they'll be able to be at their best for those around them. But I, like so many other women, I have had my own, adversity in my life. I have actually suffered through depression, through suicidal thoughts. I know the horror. Can I just say the horror of
Yes.
just feeling by yourself, being alone, not having anyone to turn to because there is a stigma
Yes.
attached to you, as a black person, as a black woman, as a woman of faith. You have all of this attached to you that says you have no reason to have any type of a mental disconnect. You got Jesus. What's wrong with that? So I understand, and I've been able to walk through those things and reach back to my fellow woman and help her walk through it as well.
Thank you so much for that. And thank you for being so authentic with sharing about who you are and what you're doing now. And so going to that a little bit by being a coach, please tell us what type of coping skills do you give these women that you work with? What do you tell them when they're at their lowest peak and they're going to you because they want to revamp their life? Tell us what that looks like.
Mhm. Well, first of all, the first question that I ask any and every woman that I sit with is, tell me about yourself. Who are you? Tell me a little bit. And so even with you, when you asked me for my background, I gave you a professional background of who I am. But when I sit down with women, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for the professional background of you. I'm looking for you. I'm looking to see into the person, to see the woman. And so the first thing that we do is we identify, who do you say you are? Not who does everybody else say you are, because they're going to say you're their wife, or you're their mother, or you're their sister, their daughter, their employee. If we scratch all of those things, tell me, who are you? And that is really the beginning of how we start to pull back the layers and find out what it was that you were created for. We began looking at beliefs that you had growing up. What are some of the beliefs about you as a person? How was your self-esteem? Who spoke into you? What are the things that you enjoy? How did you escape? So this is where we begin in the coaching. We began pulling back some of those layers with just a question of, tell me about yourself. Who are you? And you would be surprised that in itself can be a 2-hour conversation, because a lot of times we just can't answer that question.
I definitely couldn't believe it. Pulling back the layers of the onion, as we say, um, it can be scary,
Mhm.
especially for those who have
Oh yes,
had trauma in their life. It's amazing work that
yes.
you do. So, can you tell us about one of your most successful stories? Where was that person in the beginning, and what, when you work with them over time, what blossomed?
You know, I'm actually, I'll tell you about my own child, because for
Okay.
me that is the greatest success, because in this time there's so much pressure, that's going on. I could have been one of those parents to unfortunately wake up to a deceased kid because
Mm,
she was going through. But I'm so grateful because I was able to catch her because of my own experiences. I was able to look at her and see something is going on here. Even when she couldn't express it, something was going on. We made a dynamic in our family that's pretty comfortable, where she was finally able to say, there's something that's not connecting. I'm having anxiety, I'm having panic attacks, I can't pull myself together, I'm crying all of the time. And what I found is the same things that I told to some of my clients, I had to tell to her, as a mother of course, but I had to say to her, let's take it back, let's walk back a little. Where are these fears coming from? What is it that's attached to you? And I had to be open enough to hear her, because some of the things that she was fearing, it came from the upbringing. Well, who did the upbringing? Me. So
mm,
the things that were feared is, I want to be able to do this. I have a timetable set for this. This is the way that life is supposed to be. I haven't hit
mm,
this. But she grew up watching a mother who's like, I got to hit this. I have to be able to do that. I need this time schedule, da, da, da. So I may not have said it in words,
yeah.
but subconsciously, I gave you the plan of how to do things, which was destroying you. And so
Mm,
even with my own child, I had to go back. I had to pull off those layers, and we had to talk about, where did this come from? Let's write these things down. Let's develop a plan that you're going to be able to look at this and say, when this happens, then I need to do this. And then I
mm,
had to step back and say, you need to be able to speak with a professional. You have to know when it's time for you, as a coach, to step back. I am not a licensed therapist. I can give you tools, but then I need to give you, to the person who's licensed to help you through. Is she 100% okay? No, but she has tools now. She's better now. At one point in time, she couldn't even say the word 25 because it was too much for her. But we've been able to work through those things and look at those things. And again, as a coach, you have to step back and begin to try to pull off those layers. And so I have to say that that's my most successful. The fact that my child was able to come to me, the fact that I was able to provide some tools, and the fact that she's still breathing today.
whoa. And it's amazing, and I commend you for being able to even share that with all of us. Thank you for doing that, because I know that's going to help someone. A lot of times, especially in the Black and Brown community, when we struggle with mental health, we like to keep it in our house. We don't want to
Oh,
share it with anybody else. But when we share these stories, it helps other people and let them know that, wow, I'm going through something similar, or
yes.
that happened to me. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
sharing what happened to you and your daughter, that is going to be somebody else's roadmap to overcome whatever they're going through. So thank you for being so
Yes.
transparent.
Thank you. We have to come out of that position of keeping things to ourselves. We have to come out of that. We're killing ourselves emotionally. We're tearing ourselves down because we're still, and it's getting better, but we're still in that position of, well, what's wrong with you? You know,
Mm,
what's bad, what's not right. And it's not so much of something being wrong with me. Have you lived life before? Are you on a different planet than
right.
than the rest of us? Because life throws lemons, and life
Mm,
throws lemons very hard.
mm,
Life has slippery slopes. And where you're having one thing after another, after another, after another, and you can't even, bounce back from one thing before five more things are being thrown, there's only so much as people that we can take before a shutdown, a breakdown, and disaster comes of it.
Absolutely, Shelley. Absolutely. So when we're talking about balance and that you are a go getter, you're always busy, you like to keep your calendar full, and you're going to keep going until everything is crossed off. What do you do now to ensure a more healthy work life balance?
I have come to the conclusion that there's no such thing as an equal scale of balance. There's always going to be a time in my life where something is going to need a little more attention than something else. And I'm okay with that now. I don't have to sit and make sure that the scales are equal. I'm good
Mhm,
with seasons. In this particular season of my life, I'm at a season where I can go harder career wise. And this is something that I could not do 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. It wasn't that season. So if I had tried to go extremely hard at that time, plus raise young children at that time, plus, be a wife at that time, it just wasn't going to happen. But that's something that I had to learn.
mhm,
Now in this particular season, it's not so much that everything is balanced, it's that this season allows me to have more focus in this area, and I'm going to give 100% of that particular area this amount of focus. So what that means is, out of 100%, maybe 75% is
mhm,
focused on career. Maybe 10% is focused, on making sure that the kids are doing whatever they need. But they can do for themselves. And then another percentage is focused over here. But each percentage is going to get my best effort. And then I'm going to know I need to pull back from this to relax. I need to block out relaxation, some type of mind settling,
mhm,
some type of emotional feeding.
mhm.
Because no matter what you do, there's going to be a moment and a time of rest that's needed. And so I'm learning, and I think maybe I've learned it. I've learned to cry and be okay with it.
Mhm.
If you see me walking through the house, shedding tears, okay. But I've learned to
Mhm.
be okay with that breaking. It releases the frustration that could be going on. So I'm okay if I need to cry. I'm a person who enjoys being by myself. I will close the door and, watch some TV. I enjoy sitting alone. So the little things that I like is my daily replenishing. And I think we all need to be sure that we have a daily replenishing. Life is kicking us down daily. Frustrations are
Mhm.
happening daily. You need to replenish daily.
Absolutely. Very good points. From talking to you previously, I know that your background is also in the arts. So, can you
Yes,
tell us a
ma'am.
little bit about that and tell us, are you still connected to the arts?
Yes, I love, love, love entertainment. I think I was in the womb, honey, doing tricks and flips and looking at myself because I love entertainment. I remember being as small, I want to say maybe about 6, and I had been given the lead in a play. And I remember the big costume that they put on me, and I was just so excited. But I had a million lines, and I remember being so excited to learn all of these lines. But I didn't just learn my lines; I learned the lines of every single person in the
Oh.
play. And so my mom told me, because the memory is so vivid to her too. She says, "I was so impressed. I knew that you were going to do something because I was so impressed because you sat there and you mimicked every single line for that entire play. It was a 2-hour play. And she said every time you were on that stage, you were saying not just your line, but you were saying the lines of every single person." And I was like, I wish my memory was that good today because I can't remember nothing. But that that is one of my most
Wonderful.
vivid memories. I love being on stage. I love being able to entertain. I love the sound of the crowd and the interacting with the crowd. And so even today, I actually have a web series online with my daughter that we did maybe I want to say last year, a couple of years ago, and we have a couple of episodes online now. We're still producing. We do red carpet events, so somebody may have seen us out on the carpet, doing our hand. So we do
Mhm.
hosting, and things of that nature. So yes, I am still connected to the arts, and I love the fact that I have those two different sides to myself. I have the speaker, author side over here, but then I have what gives me life, what's fun for me, what helps me replenish, which is the arts and being able to be out on those red carpets and things of that nature. That's replenishing for me.
And that seems to be a theme that a lot of the speakers throughout this series have said, that you have to have an outlet. Um,
Yes.
Karan, who was speaking before, said you have to have a creative outlet. Before that, someone
Mhm.
talked about paint. I think Dr. Roz talked about being creative, um, painting.
Mhm.
Everyone has talked about you have to have some kind of creative outlet, especially
You
when
have
you are
to.
dealing with stress, depression, anxiety. But it's just
Mhm.
healthy for anyone. I would imagine when you're dealing with this, as you said, the stresses of life. So
Yes,
I think
definitely.
people should take note of that. And so,
Yeah, I love it.
how can how do you explain, especially since you deal in Hollywood, the diversity, equality, and inclusion? What does that look like in the Hollywood realm for you?
You know what? I would like to hope that it's getting better because diversity is needed all across the board. Whether we're talking about Hollywood, corporate, it's needed. We want to be able to see good representation of ourselves. I want to be able to see quality. I want to be able to see positivity. I want to be able to look and see not just me, but me being successful. You know, I don't have the experience that someone of another culture has. And so if we don't learn how to bring all of those experiences together, then we're not going to be able to continue to grow, to advance, to expand. I would like to believe that we're seeing a little bit more of that in Hollywood. Women of darker complexions wearing their natural hair, things like this. We didn't see some of these things, being able to include all types of people, all types of family. You know, the one thing we have in common, the greatest thing we have in common, humanity. So why can't we bring that together in inclusion and diversity and love for, learn, not love, but learn from one another. So I think it's happening, but I think that we have to continue to voice our opinions. I think we need to make sure that there are creatives in the background so that we can tell our stories. We need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to tell our stories. You're creating things that have to do with black women coming together. There should be some black women on the creative side so that they can bring that into into the writers room. So yeah, I think it's happening more, and I want to see even more. I don't want to look at television, and especially being a black woman, I don't want to look at television and have us on a black show. You know, I want to be able to turn on the television and there's just a wonderful actor in that show. She happens to be black. He happens to be black. They happen to be Asian. They happen to be Latina. Not just, oh, let me bring somebody in so that it looks like we're diverse, but really being able to say, this is what it is. It's open. Here's the job. Whoever's best for the job, let's come in.
Right.
So that's
That's
the day
truly
I'm looking for.
yeah, that's truly the
You
inclusion
know,
part. And when we were talking, prepping for our interview, I learned something very special about one of your daughters. Can you please share? Because as we talk about inclusion, then I automatically start talking about intersectionality, where we have, we're celebrating and we're looking at where we intersect with different things. Like I am African American, I'm a woman, I'm disabled. We can look at my age, my sex, social economical background. We can look at, just very different dimensions of diversity that is applicable to me. And one of your daughters does a very unique, special type of work. Can you please share about what she does?
Yes, it's very exciting to me because in her line of work, she's actually opened up my eyes too and helped me see some things that we take for granted. Those of us who may not or who don't have disabilities, we take these things for granted, and so my daughter works as a deaf culture merger. And so what she does is she helps to merge both communities, the deaf community and the hearing community, merge those cultures together. And she does that, and she wants to bring that into the entertainment industry where we won't look at deaf actors so much as deaf actors, but we'll look at our deaf actors as actors, and you just happen to be deaf. Are there some things that we have to learn because each culture has its own way of communicating, and that includes the deaf community. And so are there some things that we definitely have to say, hey, we have to stretch ourselves a little bit. We have to look at things differently. Yes, but that's the only way that we're really going to get to a point of where we're including all people, where we're accepting all people, and where there is a larger level of diversity. My daughter spends her time bringing that education to both sides and helping the hearing community understand that the things that we're accidentally doing can be messages that are being sent, of making you feel more belittled. You know,
Yes.
um, one of her main things is when you see a deaf person, and she's like across the board now. When you see someone who has a disability, you don't have to run to help them. We as
Mhm.
people, if we need help, we know how to ask. Why do we
Yeah.
take that away from someone
Yes.
who's deaf?
Mm,
That we have to be your savior. And that's not
mm,
to say that you don't need help, but can we give you the opportunity to ask
yes.
for that the way that we would do anybody else? you know
Absolutely.
and then she's teaching the deaf community that there are some things that you need to learn about our community as well, and that we're not trying to be offensive, but we need some grace too. So we need some grace with their community, they need some
Mhm.
grace with our community, and that's where the merging comes in. So as I said before, she has opened my eyes to things where I've always thought that I was a kind, sensitive person. And it's not that I'm not, but it's just when she bought certain things, I was like, oh, I think I do think
Mhm.
like that, without realizing.
Mhm.
I was like, oh, I probably would just run over to somebody in a wheelchair and be like, oh, let me get that for you. And not
Mhm.
realizing that they didn't ask me. They
Yes.
didn't ask for you to come and do that for them. If they need assistance, they'll ask. So just small things that we overlook or things that we take for granted. She has been that one to help open my eyes and help give me a better understanding. And I see her doing that work in the community and now bringing that work to the best of her ability into entertainment. So I'm
I
very
love
proud of
it.
her.
I'm proud of her too. I love it. Corporate organizations need it. Nonprofit organizations need it. Churches, all
Mm-hmm.
types of organizations need that type
Yes.
of training because it's awareness training. And like, you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of people are offended by the word ignorance, but that's what it is. When you don't know someone, you are ignorant
You
to
don't
that.
know.
And so the only way you can do
Mhm.
that is through education and awareness campaigns. So the work she does is very critical to bridging the gap between that
Yes.
that knowledge that people do not
Yes.
have. So it's critical that leadership understands where they have the gaps in their organization. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to retain talent, when we're talking about talent and in employment is that we have to have buy-in from the top. So hopefully leaders who are watching this video, you're hitting the like button, and that you reach out to myself. You can reach out to Shelly to get in contact with her daughter, but you need to reach out to resources that can help you improve your
Mm-hmm.
organizational culture. Because here's the thing, a lot of organizations spend a lot of money on obtaining top talent. They do the recruiting initiatives, they hire, they train and bring people into their organization. But where it really matters is part of the retention. And that's where they lose
Yes.
people, is because if people are not comfortable in your organization, they feel that they're being mistreated because people are not treating them well
Mm-hmm.
because of a disability, whether it's a non-visible disability, being mental illness, or something else
Mm-hmm.
that they cannot see, or a physical disability,
Right.
or hearing, because you can't necessarily hear that. Sometimes some people have hearing and you can they function so well you don't know. But whatever it is, they
Right.
will leave. They will leave. So all the
Yes.
dollars that you spent onboarding and training, all that will be out the window, and you'll have to start from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And usually, like one of the other speakers said, people with disabilities are some of your most loyal employees, whether it's entertainment industry or corporate America. They're loyal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
Mm-hmm.
great point that you mentioned, that that knowledge gap about being aware
Yes,
is so critical.
you have to. But you mentioned something that I wanted to touch on really quickly. You talked
Sure.
about uh, people being deaf and saying, sometimes they function so well that we don't know that they're deaf. And one of the
Mhm.
things that my daughter is trying to help people understand is a lot of deaf individuals, they're doing that so that they're not discriminated against. They don't want to not end up
Mhm.
not having a job.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
trying extra hard to fit in and to act like a hearing
Yeah.
person. And what my
Yeah.
daughter is saying is, why do you need to act like a hearing person? There should
Yeah.
be access that's available.
Yeah.
You should have an
Yeah.
employee who knows how to sign, who can,
Yeah.
help bridge that gap. And so that's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. Now I see things that I wouldn't have seen before. And even when you said that, it caught my ear, whereas it never would have caught my ear before. It would have been like, yes, well, yeah, you have to try to fit in with that world.
Hmm.
But no, we have
No.
to create some type of access. Create some type of access. That's where the inclusion comes in.
Yes.
And my daughter knows this better than I do, but I think she has spoke about it. I'm not 100% sure. But I know she did mention about mental illness, depression being very heavy in the deaf community because you have all of these things to contend
Hmm.
with, trying
Hmm.
to act like you're trying to
Hmm.
get information, trying to fit in, trying to find work. And so all of these things create a huge level of anxiety and depression. And again, that's not my field, so I don't want to really jump into that end. But I know that she had spoken, or I had heard her touch on that, and I'm like, wow, another something I never thought about. When we think about depression and mental illness and things like that, we don't look at the fact of how can other people get that type of access. We just don't do that. And it's important that we begin doing that. It's important. Mental illness doesn't affect this group of people. It's all across the board. All across the
Yes.
board. That includes the blind, the deaf, those in wheelchairs, uh,
Right.
those with any other type of disease. It affects us across the
Absolutely.
board,
You nailed it.
you
You
know?
nailed it. I was going to reiterate that, but you already said it. Access, and then mental illness can happen to any type of person who has any other type of disability, physical or any other type of cancer. You can have cancer and mental
Exactly.
illness. You can have diabetes and mental illness. Mental
Exactly.
illness can affect anybody.
Right.
Absolutely. You really, that's an excellent point.
Right.
Um,
And we need to be aware of that. We need to be more aware of that and create the accessibility for
yeah,
everyone.
accessibility. And also, when you talked about um, a person with a disability who has a physical disability, and I see this when I go to the VA, people saying, no, no, thank you. I have it myself. on like the door or something. Um, don't get offended if someone with a disability, I don't want to say corrects you or provides you feedback about how they want to be treated. That should, I would
Mm-hmm.
recommend that you take that as an opportunity to learn, because people have to set healthy boundaries for themselves. What is your take on that when you
Definitely.
work? Okay.
Oh my God. Definitely. First, I have to go back and I have to be able to say, once again, this is something that I never looked at until I had a child who was more active in another community. And so for me, at first, I would probably be taken aback, like, I'm trying to help you. But that's the
Mm-hmm.
problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's the problem. It's okay to help. We all need help, but we have to look at it from the other person's angle, who someone is always trying to do something and making it seem like you can't do for yourself. If I had a broken leg and and I had to sit down a lot of the time, at some point I would kind of feel like an invalid because everybody is doing everything for me. And it would kind of begin to probably tap at me a little bit mentally. Like I can do some things for myself. I'm not an invalid. I'm not this. So if I had to deal with that every single day, I can understand looking at it from that point. I can understand when someone may be a little more, and I don't even like to use the word standoffish or defensive. Maybe it's defensive, I'm not sure, but who advocates a little bit more for what it
Mm-hmm.
is that they need at that moment.
Yes.
So I have to be able to take my eyes, Shelly eyes off, and then take my glasses off and put on glasses that will be able to view it
Mhm.
from the other side. And so I think that
Absolutely.
if we all practice doing that, then we would have a more gentle spirit towards anyone who's going through in life, mental
Mhm.
illness included. If we started
Yeah.
taking some of the focus off of us and just as people, we began looking at people and we began putting our hand on their frailties, putting our empathy towards you instead of putting anger towards you, instead of it being, spite towards you. If we begin to really look at each other past the shell, then that's when change begins to happen.
Mm.
That's when it happens.
Absolutely. And as you just said, whether it's mental illness, learning disability, or physical disability, when someone is asking you to please change this or that, because they don't have to say because I have a disability, they just are asking to change it for a reason, obviously. Just listen to it. And like you said,
Mm-hmm.
take Zakiya's eyes off of this, take Shelly's off, and just listen to it for a moment,
Mm-hmm.
and do it, because obviously the person is doing it for a reason. I'm going to go to the phone real quick and listen. Mark Kreiner is tuning in from Phoenix, Arizona. Andrew is tuning in from Woodbridge. Sharice is from
And
Atlanta, and um, they are all saying good conversation. So let's just keep it going.
thank you
Tell
guys.
us
Thank you for
about your
tuning in.
tell us about your book.
Yes, I wrote a book, 70 Days of Happy. Life is Better When You Smile. And I wrote that book because I had did a challenge. And the challenge was to say nothing but good things, nothing but positive things for 90 days. As I've said before, I'm a pretty happy person, pretty cool. I don't take too much too seriously, but I thought, okay, I'm going to do this challenge and I'll see where it leads me. Well, what happened is even when days were bad days, I was like, oh, don't forget, don't give a lot of energy to that. Recognize it, because a bad day is a bad day. I'm not going to say that it's a good day if it's not a good day. That's just lying to myself. But, I'm able to go, it's a bad day. It's not too great, but I can extract this from that day. I'm here to say it's a bad day. I'm still walking. I'm still this. So I did that for 90 days. And afterwards, I was like, you know what? There is a even better sense of calm, or there is something more that you can extract if you choose to. And so I said, I'm going to take some of these things, that I've learned, and then I'm going to put some life things with it, inside of a book, because I know if I was able to get something out of it, then maybe somebody else will be able to get something out of it. What I found to be so funny about the book is I I put practical things in there that will help us be able to gravitate to happiness, own our happiness, and not keep giving it away or making excuses for being unhappy. But some of those things were just simple principles like smile. Take the day to smile and see how you feel. When you consciously decide, I'm going to smile a little bit more today. And the next day, see how it made you feel. It's a 70-day journey, 2-minute read every single day for you to take those things, apply those things. And I guarantee you, in 70 days, you're going to look back and be like, what? Okay, I got this. But I even have to go back. I told somebody, I said, I had to go back and read my own book one day because I was like, girl, you need to get it together. Where you happy at? Don't nobody owe you nothing. Get it together.
That is
We are so
wonderful.
entitled as
Yes.
people. Don't nobody owe you nothing.
Right. Yes.
Get your happy.
Yes. I've heard that before. Nobody owes you anything. Yes, I gotta get that. Get my happy.
No.
That's very
Get your
good.
happy.
Yes.
Grab your joy. You
Yes.
know, get the things that are going to bring life into who you are. You will
Mm,
never be able to be good for anyone else until you learn how to bring that life into yourself.
absolutely. And what are some of the favorite affirmations that you tell yourself each day?
I really don't stand in the mirror and tell myself affirmations every day. That's really not one of my things, even though I believe that that's a great tool to have. But I do decide every day that I'm going to walk in purpose. That's the decision, that when I get up in the morning, what is it that you have for me today, Lord? Whose life, have you whose life have you put in my hands to touch today? What am I supposed to do today? Life gets hard. So on those days when it's a little bit tougher, then yes, I do speak life into myself. But I'm a firm believer in the word. So I have the word of God that I go back to so that I can find out who I am in his eyes, and scriptures to meditate on throughout the day. And then I'm very fortunate that I have a family that when they see that things are not going so well for me, they'll do the little things. Make me a cup of coffee, bring me some French fries, give me something, give me a hug. But I have a family who speaks life into me. I have a family who will look at me and tell me my potential. I have a family who says there's more to you than the right now, than this very second. My oldest daughter spent time, not last night, but I think it was the night before, praying over me and praying God's best for me. That's amazing. That's incredible. And so, no, I don't get up every day and actually speak an affirmation, but I do get up every day knowing that I have purpose. That's why I'm still here. So, what do we do today?
Amen. That's a blessing. So, Shelley, please share with the viewers your final thoughts.
Oh my goodness. My final thoughts for everybody to would be the same thing that I have said for myself. You were created with destiny and purpose in mind. Grab it. You're never too old. You're never too old to find purpose. You're never too old to find destiny. Grab onto it, because when you find who you were created to be, when you find purpose, that is when you find life. That is when so many things fall off of you. That's when you don't have time for the bull. You like, boo, I got purpose. I don't have time to be worried about what you're saying or what you're doing or if you like me or if you press the heart on Instagram. I got things to do. I have a life. And so
Yeah.
my final thought to people would be grab onto that, grab onto it. And I I love being able to connect with people because that's what I do. I help show you how to grab onto that, how to live life, not live in life. Living
Woo!
in
That's
life is me just
powerful.
getting up, doing. just doing the daily stuff. No, I want you to live life. And I'm here as your purpose coach to show you exactly how to do it. I did it for myself. I've done it for many others. I can do it for you too.
And how can you do that? How can individuals get in contact with you?
You can get in contact with me on my website. That's probably the easiest way to get in contact with me. You can actually download a free copy of 5 daily happiness habits, and you can connect with me. I do one-on-one calls for power purpose calls, and you can actually schedule a power purpose call with me where we'll get on there again. We'll talk about the things that you're passionate about, your habits, your talents, and we'll actually create a 2 to 3 step in that time for you to be able to begin cracking at what it is that you've been purposed to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the time that you spent with us and all the powerful information and
Thank
insights that
you.
you brought. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for hitting the like and share button. And we'll see you again on tomorrow. And don't forget, if you're interested, leaders, change makers, professionals, join my link new Facebook group, which is bit.ly/DEIGC. It's also in the comment section. See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening. Peace, love, and many blessings. Bye.
Bye.